Anton. Morning. Yeah, fine. Nadia,
Yes.
how's it?
Good.
Morning.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Fine.
Where are you putting up with? Where are you staying?
At Marriott.
Okay. Morning, bro. Morning, how are you?
So they decided to have a business school as part of Harvard. But it was regarded, believe it or not, as an experiment. Harvard Business School, arguably the biggest brand in the business school business. A school which now has an endowment of its own of $3 billion. In 1908 was regarded as an experiment, a delicate experiment, something that might not even work out. So when you have an experiment, you're not going to spend money to create a campus like this. So what they did was they piggybacked, they used facilities that were already in existence in the Harvard yard. So they had classrooms, they had a library, they had classrooms, they could do their business. Harvard Business School started in the Harvard yard with a full-time faculty of 15 people. We now have over 225 faculty members, and they had fewer than 100 students in an MBA program, which was the first MBA program in the world. And we now have 1,800 MBA students here at any one time. It's a 2-year program. It's a full-time residential program. And there are 900 or so classes that are here. We also have doctoral programs, very small. Professors, we have over 100 people who are in doctoral programs. So, Harvard Business School starts across the river, and they don't think about having a permanent campus like this until 1994. So it's a long haul. And the reason you need a campus like this man right here. So, So in 1924, powers that be in Harvard said, we're going to have dedicated campus for Harvard Business School, the way there's a separate campus for the older professions, Harvard Law School and Harvard Medical School. So this land was available. This land, as I've often said, this land was swampland. This land was marshland because it's so close to the river. So, from the point of view of people across the river, you have philosophy, the people who taught music, the people who taught archaeology, Latin, Greek, swamp. Perfect place for a business school. Because they didn't know that you were a school where you didn't have a business and make money on it. So, anyway, so that they could have a business school campus. And he was funded. And they figured, okay, there were other people as well. Now, I graduated from college, fundraisers will come to me. They'll say, Jim, $100 for your alma mater, Harvard. And I'll say, well, that's a stretch gift, but let me think about it. And they'll come back and I'll say, well, 100's a lot, but I'll give 50. That's the traditional way that fundraisers operate. So they come to him, they ask for $1 million, they have another meeting, and he says, I don't want to give you $1 million, but I would like to give you $5 million. Is that okay? They say, let's think about that. It's okay. And where do we sign? So that was a gift that came in 924, another $1 million again in 1924. You're business students, correct? So your job is to tell me how much $5 million in 1924 would be today. It's a heck of a lot of money. So at any rate, had the money, they found architects, we graded campus on this swampland, and we turned the swampland into a kind of paradise, what I like to call paradise. And on June 4th, 1927, the buildings, the basic set of buildings were up, and they never called it the Baker School of Business. That might happen at some schools, you have the Booth. Where is Booth? Booth, the Booth School. Very good. I asked my wife that. So, University of Chicago, never the Baker School of Business. We were originally the Harvard University Graduate School of Administration, but the library was named after George Fisher Baker, so we are in the Baker Library. And if you graduate in the top 5% of the Harvard Business School graduating class, you are a god among humans, of course, but you are a Baker scholar. So we remember Mr. Baker to this day. This is regarded as probably the greatest business library in the world. It's only one of them. And the people who are in this foyer, these portraits, are former deans and heads of the faculty of the school. And the school has a great archival collection, so this is some of the stuff that we have in our archives. You may be too young for this, but have you ever heard of the Polaroid camera? Yeah. That's where you pull out the photo immediately. Well, Edwin Land had nothing to do with Harvard Business School, but the Polaroid Corporation gave all his archival materials, or all its archival materials, to the library, and we've just put them on display here. So they have a Polaroid camera, and they have goggles that people wore during World War II with the polarized lenses and all that. So it's always sort of an interesting exhibit in the library foyer. And I like this. This is sort of the old Harvard look, In the whole history of the school, there have only been 10 deans. The current dean is in his 6th year as dean, and he is from India, and he's an American citizen now. He went to college in India, one of the India Institutes of Technology, and then he went to MIT to get a PhD, which he tells people a lot. Okay, all right. All right, so here we go. We're going to go through here, and these are all these name things, these name things. So this is what happens when you depend on people to give you things. They say, okay, I'll give you the money, but please put my name on the building, So we go through here. This is the Bloomberg Center. Yes. Yes, Bloomberg is, do you know? Is that name familiar to you?
Yeah.
Michael Bloomberg, former mayor of New York, and he graduated from Harvard Business School in 1966. So this is actually, Michael gave the money, but it's in memory of his late father, who was an accountant, not a big accounting firm. He wasn't a partner at Price Waterhouse. His father was an accountant at a small dairy in the Boston metropolitan area. So really, Mike Bloomberg, it seems to me, is really a self-made. So anyway, the Bloomberg. It's 10:15. Where are the students? Yeah. Because if you go again into the Harvard yard where the college is, there are students there all the time, walking back and forth. And you have, in college, you have a certain amount of freedom of choice. So, as I tell people, I would say to my father, when I was at Harvard College, I want no class before 11 o'clock. That would be too early. I want no class after 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And I want no classes on Monday or Friday. And he said, son, you are truly ambitious. I'm really proud of you. Now, you can get away with that in college, but you can't get away with it at Harvard Business School because the students really, it's like a business appointment. You go to class almost in lockstep. Everyone has a morning appointment and another appointment and an early afternoon appointment. So when I walk through the campus, I don't see students in the early morning hours or all the morning hours, mid-morning hours, because they are all in class. And they have to be in class, and they can't leave early, and all that stuff. So this is run like a business in many ways, and that's an important part of the culture. Who we are,
We're recording everything?
Yeah. No problem. What's the name again?
Wale.
Okay.
I'm Wale.
No problems now. No, I didn't picture myself.
We are ready. Give us what we
So you feel come here. You feel come for AML, Advanced Management course. You know KU now.
You want to go to?
You know KU. KU was here last year.
I don't know. You want to go to?
KU GMD of PBA, the new GMD.
I don't know.
Okay.
What I'm going to do is the OPM.
Okay. Oh, sorry then.
President. I want to find out. Oh, my friend is calling me. You know,
So it's interesting because Harvard Business School is one of the, I think maybe the only business school that actually doesn't offer an executive MBA program. The feeling is to get the Harvard MBA, you've got to be here every day, case after case after case. Do you guys use case studies?
Yes.
Yeah. So the students here read about 500 cases over the course of 2 years. So it's case after case after case. And the feeling was if you only came on weekends or whatever, you'd have that intervening time, and they don't want that to be. So they've held the line and said, no executive MBA. Now, this is the classroom building area, and there are 2 classroom buildings. And you see this, the style here is, it's called Georgian architecture. It's based on a style of architecture from England in the very old days, King George and all that sort of thing, you know. But we are in the northeast quadrant of the United States, which is New England. So we have that sort of English feeling from time to time, and certainly in universities and private schools often have this look of red brick with green doors. I have no idea why it's always green doors, but it is green doors. Anyway, this building opened up in 1953. Right after World War II was a classroom building, and teach only by the case method. So do you have lectures? Sometimes lectures?
Yes.
So lectures and cases. Yeah. That's the way it is, for example, I think at Stanford. And I was with a friend of mine who teaches at UCLA yesterday, and they use mainly lectures. So we do only case method. Now, let me explain what's going on here. You may know that we have a strike going on, a labor strike, right, among the food service workers. So it looks like I'm going to have some competition with people who are going to make sounds while I speak to you, so we'll do the best we can. Anyway, this building, the money came from John D. Rockefeller Jr. Again, he was not a Harvard graduate, but he liked what the school was doing. And people say, well, Jim, why isn't it named Rockefeller Hall? Well, it's named after John D. Rockefeller Jr.'s father-in-law, his wife's father. And I imagine the conversation when, dear, I just gave $5 million to Harvard Business School, and I'm thinking, what do I name the building? And she said, well, let's do it after my father. And he said, yes, dear. And that's the way my marriage has survived for 35 years. I say, yes, dear. Haas Hall, you can see it has the same look as this, but this opened up in '53, this opened up in 2002, but they wanted them to look similar to each other. So 52,
and yeah.
it's very hard to get classes that are empty.
So 50 years after, same design.
This one is very useful. So move to the other one.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know?
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry.
Where do you sit in something about who you are? Right?
Where does say something about who you are?
I need a chair here.
You'll notice there is no chair.
Yeah.
Because they never sit down.
When you sit, say something.
They never sit down.
Careful where you sit.
Is this everybody? So you've seen one Harvard Business School classroom. You have seen them all. They all look like this. They are all designed for case method teaching. And that means that the professor will wander around here. No matter where you sit, the professor can get to you. So, if you're here, it makes no difference because I can walk right up to you and we can call on you and all that sort of thing. Now, this is again very unlike most people's educational experience before they come to Harvard Business School. So when I was in college, what was the main method of teaching? A professor would get up in front of the class at a podium, pull out lecture notes that might be 10 to 20 years old, and read a lecture, and then out the door. That was it. Now I could take notes, and I could daydream, I could do both. There was no problem. So I would say that with the lecture method, that you're not fully engaged as a student. With the case method, and the way we do the case method here, you are fully engaged as a student. So the other thing that I find remarkable is that professors here, before the first day of class, they will memorize the faces and names and brief backgrounds of every student in the class. They'll have that in their heads before they go in. And then, in a regular, if you guys are here, I should have brought there's a name card right here. And your name is in front of you. So the professor knows, beyond memorizing, you have a card which tells me, or the professor, who you are. And they also have a diagram in their office with the seating, because we don't leave the seating to chance. We assign students their seats. Now, with the cases, and you've done cases, I don't know how you do them for your school, but here the student will read the case by herself or himself, then go into a so-called learning team by 6 people, and they'll exchange ideas, and then they go into class with 89 other people. The group sort of built his rooms, take 9 seats, and they'll have a discussion. And 50% of your grade will depend upon the quality of what you say in class. So you could be Albert Einstein, and if you don't speak up, you only get 50% in your grade. It's not going to probably get you through. Now, when people come to Harvard Business School, they tend to be, let's face it, it's a pretty smart group of people. You get 10,000 applications for 900 spots. So it's difficult to get into. I would say also that the students who come here don't tend to be shy about expressing their opinions. So on the whole, they want to and to make sure they do, the school says, okay, 50% of the grade is based upon class. So that drives people to talk. And before I came here before, I taught Latin and ancient Greek. And I would ask questions, and no one would respond. They'd say, Mr. Aisner, we really don't have time for this, we're busy. So the fact of the matter is that doesn't work here. So when I first came to some class here and all the hands were going up, I thought I died and gone to teaching heaven.
Harvard calling, we crave for more.
Again, they don't sit down. They will have something called a cold call. You know what a cold call is? You have that in your school too, where you just call on someone, they don't know what's coming, and you have to respond. So it's a really interesting educational model. Now, someone had asked me about the tuition here. And so the tuition here is expensive. It's something over $60,000 a year just for the tuition. And if you factor in the other aspects of life, having a place to stay, clothing, eating, those sorts of things that we all have to do, it comes up to about, I think, $100,000. So this is a very expensive proposition. So it's no wonder that 65% of our students are on scholarships of one kind or another. This school is unique in many ways. The campus is unique, but we also have amazing financial scholarship capability. We have $35 million available for scholarship aid. So the fact is that we have what's called a need-blind admissions process. So all the admissions people care about is your ability to do the work. It has nothing to do with your ability to pay. when they're admitting people, they just look at your ability to do work. Then once you get in, they will look at how they will figure out a scholarship package with a loan package. There is a feeling that no one should be on a full scholarship. They want people to have what they call skin in the game. They want people to have some stake in their own education, so no one gets a full free ride here, but there are considerable scholarship opportunities. Also, the entering age of a student here is 27. No one comes directly from college, so everyone's worked a minimum of 2 years and an average of 4 years in the real workplace. So the hope is that, and the expectation I think is that if you've worked for 4 years, maybe you put some of that money aside to help finance your continuing education rather than buy a BMW. So all those things sort of fit in. Most of our classrooms, by the way, don't have windows because windows would be regarded as a distraction. We don't want that. Now, we're comfortably ensconced here in this classroom. Does anyone else, you had that, you were the one who asked me about the tuition. Thank you for that. Other questions? Yes. You know, there is no maximum age, but I think at some point, logical thinking kicks in. For most people, if you're 50 years old and you're still working, you probably know at that point in your life you want to drop off and come to school for 2 full years and hang out with 27-year-olds. I mean, I'm the oldest person in my office by 20 years, and no one in my office wants to hang out with me. You guys are my only friends, basically. So, at any rate, but there's no maximum age. I think we had actually a professor here. He came in as a student. He was on sabbatical from the University of California in San Diego, and I think he was in his 50s, and he taught mathematics or something, and he wanted to get an MBA. So he came here and did it. But at some point, you just say, I don't think that it makes sense for me to leave my job to come here for 2 years and hang out with 27 years. So nature takes its course. Sorry, yes. For the PhD? The PhD is an incredibly difficult program to get into. The only thing basically, most of these people seem to come in directly from an undergraduate program. So they'll be looking at, your undergraduate career. Some of these people have already done research before they get into the PhD program. Testing, through every storm we find the light. Together we rise through lows and highs, forever bound by crimson skies. The river rolls her whispers deep and they want to go to top tier schools.
Stories of scholars and their steady stride. Books in hand, but dreams in flight. Through the dust, into the
very
night.
Extensive executive.
Through the halls of knowledge, we pave our way.
We now have
Building tomorrow day by day. Oh, crimson skies where dreams ignite.
now about 70.
Through every storm we find the light. Together we rise through lows and highs, forever bound by crimson skies. May fade, but the spirits stay in the steps we take, in the paths we lay. From every corner, near and far, we carry the torch, the crimson star.
Perhaps for marketing or retailing, and you're here.
Oh, crimson skies where dreams ignite. Through every storm we find the light. Together crimson skies, the past may fade, but the spirit stays in the steps we take,
dormitory space,
in the paths we play.
classroom space.
From every corner,
eating
near
space,
and
all
far,
those
we
sorts of
carry the torch, the
Oh, it is here.
crimson star.
It's definitely here. When you say here, you mean on the campus? Oh yeah, everything's on the campus. Yeah, think of Harvard Business School as a village. You know, Hillary Clinton. You know Hillary Clinton? Yeah. The next president of the United States. I don't know. Hillary Clinton wrote a book. It may have been based on experiences in Africa, but it's called "It Takes a Village," and it's about how it takes a village to raise a child. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to say, following the footsteps of Hillary Clinton, I like to say it takes a village to create a Harvard executive education. So we have an executive education area, we have classrooms, we have dormitories, we have a library, we have a physical fitness club. You know, all that stuff is here. We have stores, we have food, we have drink. So everything you need is right here.
So how much is the executive program?
They vary in cost considerably. So the best thing to do would be to go on the website and look at each individual program. Now, with these programs on the whole,
Hearts held
your
in
company
hand.
has to send you.
The bell
So
tower
there is a
tolls.
program called
The
the Owner
echoes
President Management Program.
A timeless tune in our Harvard song.
And there,
Oh, crimson skies where dreams ignite. Through every storm, we find the light. Together we rise through lows and highs, forever bound by crimson skies.
and they're paying
The river rolls or whispers deep and wide.
Another choice they make.
Stories of scholars and their steady stride.
You had a question.
Books in hand, but dreams in flight. Through the dusk into the night. Through the halls of knowledge we pave our
You
way.
know, there are so many programs.
Building tomorrow, day by
I would say
day.
it's probably.
Oh, crimson skies where dreams ignite. Through every storm, we find the light. Together we rise. Through lows and highs. Forever bound by crimson skies. The past may fade,
I'll say
the
this.
spirit stays. In the steps we take, in the paths we blaze. From every corner, near and far, we carry the torch, the crimson star.
I think people come here for a lot of reasons. One of those is brand is obviously
Crimson skies, where dreams ignite.
there used to be a
Through
saying that the
every
students
storm,
would
we
out
find the
age
light.
if just-
Together we rise,
you know.
through lows
So
and
the
highs,
Harvard part of this is
forever
very
bound
important. But the
by
fact that the brand is big,
crimson
the fact of the
skies.
matter is,
Forever the river rolls, her whispers deep and wide. Stories of scholars and their stay stride. Books in hand, but dreams in flight. Through the dusk into the night. Through the halls of knowledge we pave our way. Through the halls of knowledge we pave our way.
real important
Building tomorrow,
quality of teaching.
day by
And there
day.
is the fact that
Building
we're in Boston.
tomorrow,
Boston is a
day
great
by
place
day.
to be.
Day.
And there is an
past may fade,
unbelievable alumni
but the spirit
network around
stays
the world of
In the
80,000
steps we
people.
take, in the
And
paths we
They
blaze.
stick together.
From every
They
corner,
want to help each other.
near
And
and
you do
far,
have this network
we
effect
carry the
that takes place
torch,
when you're here
the
and when you're
crimson
graduate
star.
students. And people have a loyalty to the school, which is quite remarkable. You see, when they come in, 900 students come in, they divide them up into smaller groups of 90 and put them in classrooms like this. And that's called a section. And they label them section A, B, C, D. So if you're in section A, you'd be in that for the whole first year. And you get to know the young woman next to you extremely well. And you've been through the this rigorous course together, and the friendships last a lifetime. So there are a lot of reasons why people want to come here. And again, 10,000 applications, people have voted with their feet if they do want to come to HBS and get the degree. It's regarded as a transformational experience. Have you had a question? I know you have.
How do children from see the just like they the executive or short-term program read hours?
No, I think there's some mingling, I guess. I don't know how much mingling there is. I mean, I think the executive education programs are sort of a force unto themselves. In the longer programs, there are some programs that last a total of 9 weeks or 8 weeks. In those programs, the graduates do get alumni status. They don't get degrees, they get certificates, but they do have alumni status. So they can go to Harvard alumni clubs in various parts of the world, and they can get counseling on job searches and all that sort of thing. But we don't offer degrees at the executive education program. But I think the students regard executive education folks as a resource, basically, because these are people who've been out in the world for a period of time and coming to school. So if they get to meet with them, I think they learn from them. But it's not a degree program. That's important to remember. All right. One more question maybe, and then we'll go outside again where it's beautiful. Yes. Oh, we have 2 more questions. So we'll do 2 quick questions. And then you go first with that great Harvard hat. I assume that's a Harvard hat. I love it. And then we'll go to the person here with a Harvard sweatshirt.
Exactly.
You guys are looking good. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Externally, they measure the success of this program. Of the school through ranking, probably based on salary. Now, how?
Yeah, the rankings are sort of strange things. It's become a little industry unto itself. You know?
So, how does the school itself measure its level of success?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I think you'd have to ask the dean maybe about that one. But I think the school, I'll just say the school has a motto, which is, or mission statement, to educate leaders who make a difference in the world. And rankings have to do with salaries and stuff like that, and these rankings are quite artificial. And we say, and I guess if you're Harvard, you can say this, look, information is a great thing. But when you're applying to business school, you don't want to just count down the top 5 according to U.S. News and World Report and apply to those. You want to see, do I want a country school? Do I want a city school? Do I want case method, or do I want lecture method, or a combination thereof? Do I want a big school or a small school? So those are the things that we think are more important rather than the rankings in and of themselves. But I think they look at the alumni and see what they've done, how they've led, and I think, there are people who come out of here who make a ton of money, and there are people who make very little money, but they do a lot for society. I'm going to a dinner tonight for someone who heads up our social enterprise initiative. A lot of people are interested in the nonprofit sector here, at least at some point in their lives. So there's no one standard that we use, but we would like people to have a positive impact on society. So let me just take you and then we'll go.
Okay, basically, the very first question is if Harvard University actually offers DBA programs.
It does.
Okay.
It does. We offer DBA and PhD. With DBA, it's taught only by HBS faculty. With PhD, it's taught by Harvard faculty and members of the Faculty of Arts and Sciences.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the second question is, we've had schools like Oxford universities and some other universities before.
Oxford, yeah. I've heard of Oxford.
Exactly. How were you able to actually achieve the #1 position in the world? What did you put together to achieve the #1 position in the world?
Yeah, I think it's the things I've talked about already. The fact of the matter is we've been around as a business school a long time.
Okay.
We have an incredible faculty.
Okay.
We have 80,000 alumni. We have amazing facilities. I think that, and we have depends on what ranking you're doing. I mean, if you're going by U.S. News and World Report, that's reputation. So if you ask someone in Missouri, you know, what schools have you heard of? They'll probably say Harvard, Yale, and Princeton. You know, so that's reputational. Others are based on the quality of the resource. So we have all that stuff. So that's how it happens. Anyway, let's go outside. And
They went to a shop.
A show? I didn't see him throughout your
Yeah. He is a businessman. They find business opportunities around.
Okay. What?
Let's go. Yeah.
Écoutez. Sending your boy to this place? Are you sending your boy to this place?
Yes, we can see.
That is the reason why
so you wait 3 weeks 1 year, you come back, 3 more weeks, then you come back and you'll find yeah. But take a look at the take a look at the I just want to go down. And I want to show you this sculpture. I love this. I love this. But I want you to see it from the other street side, because this is the head of a girl. Her name is Inez. She was done by a sculptor in Barcelona. Go over here.
Oh, it's not facing this side. So, you can go. Yes, sir.
Slices.
Yeah.
So they flew in, sculptor brought in a very thin man from Barcelona. He crawls into the first second. They get a crane to lower down the next piece, and he makes sure it's alive. And then they keep doing this, and he continues to crawl up to the inside, and finally comes out to the head. It's quite amazing. But it doesn't look like someone's floating. It looks like
Yeah.
I love the trees. At night, they're like dust. walk in the street here now. We can walk in the street here because the Harvard Business School campus. As I always say, do not do this in the city of Boston because you will be run over. Boston, I've lived here all my life. I can tell you, Boston drivers are the worst drivers in the world.
You think like that?
Talk about rankings. We're number one in bad drivers. A Boston driver would rather hit you than put on a brake. It's unbelievable. And they'll yell and scream and use dirty language. So, welcome to Boston.
Yeah, thank you.
And let's go on the street. Now look down there.
This is different.
Those of you who indicate to me an interest in executive education. Down there is the executive education complex. And the building we're looking at, straight down the road, is known as the Chao Center, C-H-A-O, named after a Chinese-American family. There were 6 children, 4 daughters, all went to Harvard Business School. Their father was involved with shipping. He came over from China with nothing, doesn't have an MBA, made a success, and in gratitude for what the daughters learned here, he gave a gift, and that Chao Center is a place where you can have meetings, if you're an exec ed, where you can eat. That's where your dinners and breakfasts and lunches would be. There's a coffee bar and a wine bar. You can't have a building now without a coffee bar. You must have a coffee bar. So that's great. Behind that is a dormitory known as Tata Hall of a small family business in India known as the
Tata Group.
No, I'm just kidding. Now that's a family business. I like a small family business. Yeah, the Tatas. Huge company. Ratan Tata, speaking of exec ed, he was trained as an architect at Cornell University. He practiced architecture for a period of time and then was sort of called back into the family business. Now, to get his business experience, he did not get an MBA. He went to the Advanced Management Program, which was then 3 months. You stay away from your job for 3 months now, and someone else has it when you get back. So the fact of the matter is they've knocked it down from 12 weeks to 8. But Ratan Tata went to the Advanced Management Program, and he was so grateful again for what the school had done for him that he gave money, and there's a beautiful dormitory that was just opened up about 2.5 years ago. So there are dormitories down there, classroom space, and a place to get a cup of coffee in the Chao Center. Anyway, this is the MBA admissions office, by the way. The director of admissions here is highly respected by all. I talked about it takes a village. So these are, the red brick buildings are dormitories. So this is where, we don't have room for all 100% now. We're about 70 to 80% of our students live on campus. The others live nearby. But again, this is an immersion. So if I want to learn, let's say, German, I could go to Berlin, spend some time there, and not hear any English. Here, people do the same thing. They immerse themselves in Harvard Business School. They live, most of them, on campus. Notice how this curve parallels the river. This is the most famous stop. This is the London stop. This is what but there it is, the front of Baker Library. This is what people think about when they think about Harvard. You should have your class go there.
world takes no notice in every word you wrote. Glory lives in the past you paved. Crimson dreams, oh the bold and brave.
I'm good, darling.
Shift to the left, please. Shift to the left.